Good evening to you and a warm welcome if you're just joining us. We begin here. A sting operation by the Labour Department is currently underway at Babel restaurant in Menlyn. It comes after the eatery's management was accused of exploiting workers on social media. Newsroom Africa's Mobile Madlala is live for us again in Pretoria. Let's take you to her now. Mobile, good evening to you. I understand there's been some developments at that restaurant. Tell us more.
Correct, Xoli. In fact, where I'm standing, you'll see behind me there's an immigration van. That van currently has some of the employees from the Babel restaurants that have been arrested, and we know that the employer as well has been asked to come here, and also he has been arrested. We understand at this point that about 68 South Africans are actually working for that restaurant, and out of those, about 2 people have been found to not have their documents. So those are people that are not from South Africa, and as a result, because of the fact that those people are currently working within the restaurant and don't have their documentation, then the owner now has to answer for that, and this is why he was arrested. I want to bring in immigration now to speak to us about that, and I think I've tried to explain it, that South Africans are there, but there are people that don't have their documentation. Explain to us why this has occurred.
Now, when we're doing our inspections, like what you've said, we did find that there were 2 in Babel that did not have the necessary documentations. Normally what we do, if people are working and they don't have the documentations to be working, they get arrested. We don't only arrest them alone, we also arrest the employer. What we have done now, we did find the 2 from Babel. They've been arrested, they don't have documentations to be in the country, and then we've also arrested the employer, so that the employer can also go and answer on the number of those people that are there, and also to explain why is he employing people with no documentations.
And of course, you went to 2 restaurants today. Take me through what immigration was looking for in all these restaurants.
In both the 2 restaurants, one is Ocean Basket, the other one is Babel. Immigration was trying to check as to the number of employees that are within that space, how many of those employees are South Africans and how many are foreigners, and those who are foreigners, what kind of documentations do they have? Because for a person to work in an establishment of that nature, they must be in possession of a work permit if they are not South Africans. That is why the 2 that we did find there, the way we effected the arrest.
And how often are these laws flouted?
It's often. We at times note some of these occurrences when we visit some of the restaurants, because the issue of visiting, checking compliance is what we're doing almost every day as Home Affairs with our Inspectorate Immigration Services. So in some areas you find that employers are incompliant, and in some areas you find that they are not incompliant. So in this case, out of the total number that we employed, most of them were South Africans, they had documentations, and then they also had foreigners that did not have documentations, hence the arrest.
And perhaps lastly from you, this obviously would be an investigation before you do a sting operation. Take us through what sort of basis have you based this sting operation on?
There are several bases. One, at times we get tip-offs from community members that provide us with the tip-offs that we then follow. But beside the tip-off, we also have our own scheduled operations that we normally do and target some of these establishments, because these are establishments that tends to employ some of the people. At times you find that the complaints that we get from South Africans is that there are people that are employed here, they don't have the necessary documentations. So those are some of the tip-offs and the normal operations that we have got within our schedules as Home Affairs.
All right. So what now?
From here, the employer is going to be charged, and then the employees are also going to be charged. With the employees, we are going to effect deportation. With the employer will have to be fined, subjected to a fine, and then we're going to take him through the court process.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us about that. Of course, Xoli, that's currently underway. As you can see behind me, there's that truck that has some of those employees. In fact, one of the employer was just saying that he doesn't give us a right to then shoot where he is. He was quite unhappy with what was taking place here. And of course, now I'm going to bring in the DG to just sort of quickly wrap up for us. DG, you've effectively made an arrest here, and you're almost done with your sting operation. Are you happy with the results?
Well, we are. But let me also bring you some updates. So in as far as the labor laws are concerned, we have made some findings. All right, there are 2 contraventions that we've picked up, one by Babel and another one by Ocean Basket. So there's an issue of gas installations, and there's an issue of structural, sort of integrity. So we're obviously going to have to prohibit the operations, both establishments. The one downstairs, as I indicated, is a gas installation issue, and the one upstairs is a structural issue in terms of the engineering issues around that.
When you say you'll have to prohibit both areas, what does that mean? Unpack it for us.
It means that the operations will be restricted from going ahead. It means that we may have to close the operations up until there's compliance with those laws. So at the end of the day, it means that the operation that we came here for is successful because we did pick up the issues that we were concerned about, and they are not different to some of the big issues that we've been picking up within this particular, sector, as it were. So we're hoping some of these particular aspects will drive the message home to some of these employers to attend and take these particular laws very seriously.
And when you talk about how important it is to take this seriously, of course, we're seeing this arrest that's being effected. But when you talk about the operation and the structure issues, does then that mean that the people that are inside there could potentially have no employment?
Well, so even maybe more serious than that. It means that the people that are working there are exposed to a dangerous operation. So which means that their health and safety is at risk. So which is why we have to make sure that there is compliance so that employees are protected. So it is important at the end of the day that whatever happens, right, there's compliance with the law. Unfortunately, the negative consequence of that is that the operation can't continue operating up until there's compliance.
And we were just hearing from one of the legal representatives from the restaurant that it's fairly new. One would think that before the restaurant then opens, these are sort of things that would have to be ticked off?
I think that's fair, all right. So all that I can say to us is that there are capacity issues, right? Obviously, we are addressing these capacity issues, right? We would hope to be everywhere, but we can't be everywhere. The key issue here is that where we do pick up these issues, we have to make sure that there's compliance. And as I indicated, that we are building that capacity, and we will overcome. We will overcome.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Koli. Capacity issues within the departments have also led to some of these issues that we are seeing on the ground. But more than that, people have been arrested and potentially restaurants could be closed based on the fact that they have not complied. That's what's happening here in Pretoria.
Hello everyone, welcome to GNU according to CD, that is Government of National Unity. So as I have reported previously that the GNU is working. The GNU is listening to South Africans when they are complaining. No longer we create videos and nobody does anything about it. We end up just making noise on the internet and it dies off and no change. Now there are changes. Babel restaurant in Menlyn has been raided by the Home Affairs Department, Labor Department, Correctional Services, you name them, and they've made arrests of illegal foreigners that work for Babel restaurant. I was saying on my yesterday's video that I bet the reason why Mihlali was employed was because to make her a face of the restaurant, that look, we are employing South Africans. And what more of a South African can you employ than a Xhosa person? A Xhosa girl for that matter, because the moment you speak Xhosa, the officials will say, oh, okay, in this restaurant, we have South Africans that are working. Because the reason why I'm not saying other tribes like Zulu, Sotho, and other languages is because some of the foreign nationals have learned these languages. They've learned Sesotho, Setswana, Sepedi, and Zulu. And most of them, they claim to be Zulu. So if I would have said hired a Zulu girl or hired a Tswana girl, they claim to be those tribes. But Xhosa, because Xhosa is very distinctive and also a little bit difficult to emulate. So they went for a Xhosa girl. That is just my suspicion. Now, the big mistake that they made was to treat her in the manner in which they treated her, instead of treating her like an egg. Because if you treat her like an egg, she will not see what exactly is going on in this restaurant. But because they were mistreating her, vilifying her for being a South African citizen who had no business coming to the hospitality industry, particularly the restaurant industry, to work there, how dare she? How dare she? And then, like a true South African, she spoke out, because that's what we do. We speak out when you are going to take us back to those days that we fought against, and then you want to bring it in 2024. There is no way that is going to happen. So guys, once again, I will consider this as breaking news. A great job, well done. And thank you so much, Newsroom Africa, for breaking this news to us, because South Africans have been waiting with bated eyes to see and hear what actions are going to be taken by the Department of Labor. I'm glad they also took along with them Home Affairs. Now, let's get action, deport these people, and Babel, if it skips or escapes this one, please employ South Africans. All the other restaurant owners, if you own a restaurant, I'm hoping that this is going to be a ripple effect where more restaurants in Johannesburg, basically Gauteng, will be raided together with Home Affairs, etc., and so on. And then you guys, you need to rethink. Put South Africans first. If you're going to employ, at least have a quota system. More South Africans, less foreign nationals. You understand what I'm saying? If you're going to employ 20 waiters and managers of the restaurant, at least 17 must be South Africans. Let's put it that way. That's putting South Africans first. And then from there, stop the nonsense of exploiting and mistreating your staff. South Africans, don't be afraid to talk. Don't be afraid to talk. So I'm hoping that the owners of Babel, they are going to be arrested, prosecuted, and convicted and throw away the key. And if they are not South African citizens, after they've served their sentences, ban them from South Africa for life. For life. Tired of this nonsense. Thank you so much, guys. Goodbye.